Young George Clooney with his older sister Ada. 1965. Teens protested when the Horace Baker family arrived. They were the first African-American family in all-white Delmar Village, Fulcroft, Pennsylvania, on the 30th of August, 1963. Adrian Adonis, Andre the Giant, Dick Murdoch, Bob Backlund, and King Kong Bundy, all in the 1980s. Las Vegas in 1895. We're from Berlin. Soviet soldiers from the Battle of Berlin are being welcomed at Belaruski railway station in Moscow in July of 1945. Indigenous rights activist and environmentalist Twira Kayapo brandished her machete in the face of a Brazilian government official who was trying to convince indigenous leaders to accept a megadam project in the Amazon, 1989. A man is holding a sign that says, "Down with Tutsi colonization. Democracy first, independence later. Down with immediate independence." This is in Rwanda around 1960. Here's the information. Canadian artist Rick Gibson. Lewisham, London, 1989. Boris Skosyrev, the self-proclaimed King of Andorra, who reigned for 11 days in 1934 as an officer in the Wehrmacht's 6th Panzer Division during World War II. A group of men are playing cards. This happened in Germany in 1904. The NAACP in New York was protesting outside the theater, asking for a boycott of The Birth of a Nation. This was in 1947. An officer arrests a man. The man wasn't wearing his mask and wasn't taking the Spanish flu pandemic seriously. This happened in San Francisco, California, in 1918. Meryl Streep at Bernard's High School in 1966. She was a member of the varsity cheerleading squad and was named Homecoming Queen during her senior year. Russian President Boris Yeltsin is dancing at a rock concert. This was in Rostov in 1996. Dolly Parton at Dollywood, 1987. A cigarette vending machine, and this was in the 1970s. They used to be everywhere, you know, in public buildings and places like bowling alleys, pool halls, clubs, bars, function rooms, event halls, hotels, restaurants, bus stations, and even some workplaces. Long live the American Army. Soviet prisoners of war are celebrating their release by the U.S. military from German captivity in May 1945. A father takes his son to a pub and he lets him try some beer. This was in Ireland in the 1950s. A cat, the mascot of the HMS Queen Elizabeth, is walking along the barrel of a 15-inch gun on deck in 1915. A saltwater crocodile was caught in the town reach of the Johnstone River in Innisfail, Australia, in 1903. Emily Diana Watts, who lived from 1867 to 1968, gently shows Mary Russell the proper punching technique in jiu-jitsu. She learned this in the 1880s. There's a helicopter, a Ka-15, and an aerosled based on the Gaz M20 Pobeda automobile. This was in Moscow, Tushino, in 1959. American soldiers are enjoying a sip of Coca-Cola during World War II. Elizabeth Hurley in 1989. Grace Kirby behind the scenes of Hellraiser 1987. Actor Leslie Nielsen is with his wife at their home in Hollywood Hills, Los Angeles, in 1992. Justin Trudeau, former Prime Minister of Canada in the 1990s. K.E. Tsiolkovsky, the founder of Our Space Thought. He's at work. Kaluga, 1932. Johnny Cash. The man in black was arrested more than once, including a 1965 border bust in El Paso. Tom Gledhill makes a motorcycle jump over a line of more than 20 Royal Artillery men in 1966, reaching speeds of 45 miles per hour. Mohammad Daoud Khan, in the middle, is with Henry Kissinger. He was a member of the Afghan royal family. He overthrew the king and created an autocratic republic in 1973. His efforts to modernize Afghanistan were ended in 1978 by a communist revolution. Nirvana during the photo shoot for their album Nevermind, 1991. Swim instructor, Toronto, 1908. The stick is used to test the student. The instructor pushes them underwater, which naturally triggers panic. However, if the swimmer resists the urge to struggle, they'll naturally float back up on their back. Celine Dion was in her teenage years and was starting to make a name for herself as a singer in the Quebec music scene. She released her first album, La Voix du Bon Dieu, in 1981, when she was 13. This is what a 20-year-old Dolly Parton looked like. Cindy Crawford and Claudia Schiffer for Revlon in the 90s. A young man in Los Angeles proudly shows off his flappy white Oxford bags from the 1920s. (1941), a period marked by severe famine in Spain following the Civil War. During this time, an estimated 200,000 people died directly or indirectly from starvation. Women and children are being fed communally by Auxilio Social. Carrier pigeons are being trained for service with the armies. A pigeon section of the Signal Corps has been established under the command of Major Griffith, 1917 to 1918. Larry Nance at the inaugural NBA Slam Dunk Contest, 1984. Folks are watching a solar eclipse from a rooftop. This is in Rotterdam, Netherlands, in 1912. Ali's getting distracted by Iris during an exhibition match against local boxer Cholito. This was in Puerto Rico, 1976. A suffragette meeting at Caxton Hall, Manchester, England, around 1908. A mule bites American actor Will Rogers on his jacket, 1925. (1963) Sir Winston Churchill gently petting a deer in Richmond Park, London. Butterfly Princess and its fisher, Mrs. J.F.'s child. This was between February 1894 and February 1901. There's a scene of children playing on railroad tracks in Tokyo, Japan, from 1972. Debbie Zapri and Kurt Paxel, 1981. Workers are gathering abandoned Imperial Japanese Army-manufactured chemical weapons. They were haphazardly abandoned across China at the war's end. They were found in Herbeling, Jilin Province in northeast China in May of 1996. John F. Kennedy consults with his brother, Robert Kennedy, during campaigning in 1960. Powerlifter Bev Francis is posing with champion bodybuilder Sergio Oliva sometime in the early 1980s. There's a Jewish woman from the B'nai Korath tribe in what is now Saudi Arabia, wearing traditional clothes. This was in 1929. Queen Victoria, who was 20 years old, proposed to Prince Albert in 1839. When she was just 7 years old, Julia Ann Crumpling was the youngest prisoner ever recorded at Oxford Castle and Prison in 1870. She was charged with stealing a pram and sentenced to 7 days of hard labor. Bill Clinton's cat, Socks, sits at the presidential desk in the Oval Office at the White House on July 1, 1994. The Ceylon National Dancers, a group of Sri Lankan dancers, toured the world in the 50s and 60s. A young family is hitchhiking in California in 1935. Einar Mikkelsen, a Danish explorer, was photographed in 1912. He had just spent 2.5 years in forced isolation in Greenland with a colleague. They went through total isolation, hunger, and hallucinations while waiting to be rescued. Production of chamber pots from German helmets, Denmark, 1945. Chinese boys were training for military duty in Hubei, China, around 1942. This was during the Second Sino-Japanese War. Audrey Hepburn and Jane Fonda at the Oscars in 1965. A young Robert De Niro and Francis Ford Coppola are behind the scenes on the set of Godfather 2. Marilyn Monroe visits American GIs in Korea, 1954. French civilians are seen in a carrier cycle. This was after cars were taken to help the German war effort in 1940. Kids celebrating VJ Day in Los Angeles on August 15, 1945. Jacqueline Bisset in the 1970s. Freddie Mercury with his cats Oscar and Tiffany in 1985. Arnold Schwarzenegger's getting help from his friends to do donkey calf raises. The group includes Ken Weller, Frank Zane, and Franco Columbu during the 1970s. An unknown woman stops Picasso and Cocteau from enjoying a bullfight in France, 1956. The Duke of Edinburgh, Prince William, Earl Spencer, Prince Harry, and the Prince of Wales walk behind the coffin of Diana during her funeral procession to Westminster Abbey on September 6, 1997. A beer and a cigarette during halftime of the Super Bowl final in the USA in 1967. Michael Jackson in 1978, slightly before all the madness came with fame. In 1934, there was a meeting of the Mladorossi. This was a Russian exile organization. They were for a system that combined communism and traditional monarchism. Their motto was Tsar and the Soviets. Stockholm City Hall, Sweden, 1916. Spanish anarchists pose with a skull during the Spanish Civil War. A hippie girl is selling roadside flowers in Oklahoma, 1973. The high school hallways were crowded between classes in Hermiston, Oregon, in 1941. Sisters of Mercy are in the dining hall having lunch sometime in the 1900s. Lisa Kudrow, Mira Sorvino, and a background Quentin Tarantino at the Romy and Michelle premiere in 1997. Brigitte Bardot and Misha Auer on the set of That Naughty Girl from 1955. DeForest Kelley from Star Trek with his vinyl collection and console in the 1960s. Left-wing Brazilian politician Leonel Brizola holds a submachine gun during the Legality campaign, 1961 to 62. Robin Williams and his purple beret are catching a cab. New York, 1979. In February 1909, one of America's most legendary Apache leaders, Geronimo, was photographed for the last time. George Armstrong Custer's Crow Scout, White Man Runs Him, is shown in his traditional clothes. This was taken in the 1920s. It is an autochrome Lumiere. Jackie Chan and Michelle Yeoh at the premiere of Super Cop in 1992. Meryl Streep at 30 years old in 1979. Betty Brosmer, one of the most iconic pin-up models of the mid-20th century, was famous for her striking figure and impossible waist. A woman is riding a bicycle. She has buckets of milk on the yoke. This is in the Netherlands, 1946. (1911) Picking nuts in a basement tenement at 143 Hudson Street, New York. Jean-Claude Van Damme at the European Amateur Bodybuilding Championships, 1978. Audrey Munson, America's first supermodel, died in 1996 at the age of 104. This was in May 1922. A Glass of Stout for Donkey, London, the 1960s. Sandra Bullock between takes while filming Speed in 1993. German women were forced to repave the streets of Prague after World War II in 1945. Dr. G.H. Byford is standing under an optokinetic drum. He's doing an experiment to investigate the reflex movements of the eyes and their association with visual illusions at the RAF Institute of Aviation Medicine in Farnborough in 1960. The first television broadcast of a football or soccer match in the Netherlands was between PSV and FC Eindhoven. It was on September 10, 1950. A University of Madras student tied his hair to a nail to prevent himself from sleeping at night while preparing for exams in 1905. Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin in 1993. It's Madonna, 1982. Here we have a robo-vacuum cleaner, a prototype from 1959. A United States soldier gives oranges to survivors of Wubelin concentration camp. Aftermath of the fire at the Jaguar plant, 1957. Someone's messing around on the Japanese subway in 1966. Future United States President Franklin D. Roosevelt at age 2, wearing a dress, 1884. John Lennon with his future first wife Cynthia outside the Liverpool College of Art in 1959. There's a statue of Pascal Lissouba, who used to be the president of Congo-Brazzaville. It's outside the country's parliament. This was in late 1997, after he was overthrown. Nomadic prisoner Aurga, Mongolia, 25th of July, 1913. The nomads of Mongolia developed a justice system to suit their mobile lifestyle. Here's a criminal, attached to a chain so heavy that it kept him from running very far across the empty steppe. Here's famous pilot Amelia Earhart on a motor scooter, 1935. Easter shopping, London, 1936. David Hedison in makeup and Patricia Owens on the set of The Fly, 1958. There were two girls shopping for their mothers on stilts in Sidcup, England. Stilt walking was a popular pastime for children in the 1950s. Elton John performing as Donald Duck, 1980. November 9th, 1994. Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt at the premiere of Interview with the Vampire. Reba McEntire and her mom, sometime in the 1970s. Cameron Diaz, 1995. Mussolini being arrested, 1915. French actors Josette Day and Jean Marais are on the set of Beauty and the Beast, written and directed by Jean Cocteau. This is from the film's set in 1946. Marshall Walter Taylor, commonly known as Major Taylor. He was the first Black American world champion. He won the 1-mile sprint at the 1899 ICA Track Cycling Championships in Montreal. Al Pacino in Rhode Island, 1961.